This is my second video on Allan Holdsworth's chords and ways he goes about making chords. If you haven't checked out the first one, check out the first one here. Last time I talked about open voicings, but this time I'm going to be talking about a different approach, a way that I generate voicings that isn't exactly the same as Allan Holdsworth, but it's similar, and it'll give you a similar sound. So one thing, as I've read through interviews with Allan Holdsworth and as I've read through like transcriptions and things of how he plays chords, I've noticed he usually takes the same voicing and then moves it up and down in steps. And sometimes this makes sense, but other times it's a really weird chord, and I think, how did he come up with this? But from reading his interviews, it seems like what he does is he just visualizes the scale over here, and then he just puts his hand down on a few notes of the scale. I imagine he kind of listens to it first so he knows what, shapes sound good. But it's kind of a idiosyncratic method that works for him, but it may not work for other people. So I thought maybe this method will help some other people like it helped me, in case you aren't able to see every single note in the key and think, oh, E flat, and just start playing random chords and notes from there, which seems really difficult. So the way I do it is a little bit different. Normally, chords are made from tertiary harmony, which means that you base chords on thirds. So in this key of C major, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? So to do thirds, we skip every other note. So, for example, C, E, G, C, C, E, G, B. So if we play it as a chord, we have C, E, G, B. And this is a C major 7th chord. If we take off the B, we have C major. And you can do the same thing for like D minor, E minor, all the other chords in C major. But you don't have to build chords off thirds. There's something else called quartal harmony, where you build chords off fourths. So, for example, every third note. So in this case, it would be C, F, B. That kind of sounds like an Allan Holdsworth chord there. And you can do the same thing if you go up. So, like, if you listen to Impressions by John Coltrane or So What by Miles Davis, you can hear these chords. The piano player McCoy Tyner uses these a lot. But I'm not going to talk about this today either. The chords I'm talking about are what I like to call 1, 2, 5 voicings. That's because I take the first note, the second note, and the 5th note of the scale and make a voicing. So if we do it in C major, we have C, we have D, and then we have G. That's the 1, the 2, and the 5. Play them all together. Like that. So, some people will say, that's just a, sus2 voicing. Which is true, it is a sus2 voicing. But the way I do it is, I don't think of it as just a sus2 voicing. I think of it as a series of chords I use to move up and down the neck. So, I'll play it in C major. So if you look on the G string, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, I'll do it with the whole voicing. Okay, so you can kind of get, like an earful of how that sounds. I like these voicings. I think one of the things that's, especially interesting about it is this interval of the second, like here. That kind of gives it some bite, and the fact that it doesn't have a third gives it a kind of open feeling. And if you notice in there, most of the voicings are just like this. So it's the same fingering, the same shape. But there's two that are different. I especially like it here on the third with E. That's a really like creepy voicing. That sounds like Allan Holdsworth to me. That's basically a C, or I say E, flat 2 sus chord, if you want to call it that. And then here on the B, this would be a B flat sus2 flat 5, I guess. But like I said, I don't like to think of them that way. The next one I'm going to show you is a 1-4-5 voicing. Some people will call this a sus voicing, but I'll show it to you. Same thing in C. We'll start here. Okay, so that's how that one sounds. And if you notice there, that one also has some interesting sounds. This one will have the interesting sound on the 4th, so F. And again on B. So those are kind of like the sounds with tension in them. They have like an interesting sound, and that's because they have minor second in them. So now I think you're probably asking, like, those sound kind of cool, but how do I use them? So there's two ways to use them. One way is to just put like a bass note under them. So let's say I have C bass note here, and then I play E, F, B flat. So on the top 3 strings, I'm using one of the voicings I just showed you, and then I'm just putting a C bass note under it, like that. So this is technically a C minor 7 11 voicing. There's no 5th in there. But I can do the same thing if I just move all my fingers up 1 step, except for the C. I leave the C, other fingers I'll move up a step. I move up 1 step. And you have this. This is a C major 7 11 chord. Sharp 11 chord. C major 7 sharp 11 chord. So if you want kind of Lydian sound, you can use that. So these are 2 common voicings that I like to use. They have like, a nice sound to them. And if we look down here, you'll notice this is the same as, it's just an inversion. And if you're clever, you probably notice that the 1-2-5 and the 1-4-5 are inversions of each other. So they're actually the same notes, just inverted. So those are a few voicings you can use if you just want to use them statically. But the way that I think of them is I think of them as a chord family, and I play multiple chords from there over like one chord if you see it on like a chord chart or something. So some songs will have like a long area of, let's say, E Lydian or A major or C Dorian or some other mode or something like that. So instead of just playing one chord over and over again, which would probably be boring, you can use these instead. So let's say if I wanted to play something in E major, I could just do something like this, like, that's boring. I could add a few other chords, like, that's cool for some things. If you're playing like a pop rock gig or something, that might be fine. Actually, it'd probably be good. But if you're playing fusion, you really don't want to do something like that. It sound kind of lame. So these can sound more hip. So I'll use E as kind of like a drone. So if you pretend like the bass player is playing this. Now I'm going to do the same thing before, except this time I'm going to use E instead of, base it on E major instead of C major. So. Okay, so that wasn't the best song, but I think you get an idea of how you can do something, and that sounds more hip, more like something Allan Holdsworth would play, or like some kind of modern jazz thing, as opposed to just playing a E major chord or E major 7, etc. You can get some movement there, and you can also use it to play melodies, because you can actually move it up and down. And so another thing you can do with this, and this is probably how Allan Holdsworth thinks, is when you're playing a song and it will change chords, especially if it changes like key centers, you can change it by just using these chord changes and changing from one to the other. So that time I based it on C major, or say E major there. So it was, oh sorry. But you don't have to do it like that. You can, for example, base it on a mode. Now I'm going to start in E minor or E aeolian, and then in the middle I'm going to switch to E Lydian. Hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference in tonality between the first one and the second one. It should start kind of dark and then get into like a lighter, more airy type sound. So this is a way I like to use these types of chords. Here we go. Okay, I kind of went on a little bit too long and made a few mistakes in there, but hopefully you can see how you can use this. So anytime in a song or something where you have like a long extended break where you're playing over, you know, just like a drone or one note over and over again, you can use this to kind of inject some, you know, movement into there and add some melodies if you want. I just showed these on the top string sets here, but you can also do these on the lower string sets if you want to. For example, like this. So, if you want to do it on the lower string sets, you can, and maybe you should, just for completeness. But I'm lazy, so sometimes I don't practice those. Be careful with this one here. That's a real tendon breaker, so make sure you always stretch out when you're doing these voicings. Most of the other ones are fairly easy though, so hopefully it won't hurt your hands too much. If you didn't understand anything, please leave me a comment at the bottom. I might make another video, or I'll try to at least, you know, explain it by like writing a message. Next month, I want to start a series going over modes, but not like, you know, other people go over them like scales. I want to talk about modal harmony, so I'll be talking about more things like this and how you can write songs using modes and make up chord progressions using modes. So if you like that, or you have any other idea you want me to, you know, talk about, leave me a message. And until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please remember to thumbs it up, check out some of my other videos below, and don't forget, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.